Hello and welcome to my video, Top 10 Odd Deaths in History. While the fact of someone losing their life isn't a laughing matter, some of these deaths on this list show that the Grim Reaper can have a bit of a sense of humor. Aretion of Phagalia. This strange death takes place during a wrestling tournament in the Greek Olympics. Aretion was put into a stranglehold position by an unnamed opponent and found himself unable to free himself of the hold. After Aretion's trainer made the statement of, "What a fine funeral if you do not submit at Olympia," he decided to try and change his fate. Aretion kicked his opponent in the right foot while twisting to the left, and his strike caused his opponent so much pain that he signaled to the umpires that he had been defeated. Sadly, Aretion's neck had been broken when he twisted to perform this move, and he was still proclaimed the victor even though he was dead. Aeschylus. He is frequently seen as the father of tragedies due to the many plays that were penned by him. Oddly enough, his life became a bit of a tragedy due to the odd way in which he died. In 456 or 455 BC, he was killed while standing outside the city of Gela when an eagle dropped a tortoise on him, supposedly confusing his bald head for a stone to smash the tortoise on. Pliny the Elder later wrote on the topic in his book Naturalis Historia, that Aeschylus had been given a prophecy that he would be killed by a falling object, and had decided to stay outside due to this fact. Chrysippus. Chrysippus was a prominent Greek philosopher with deep knowledge in logic, ethics, and physics. He played a major role in the success of the philosophy of Stoicism being brought to the Greek and Roman world. Two different accounts are reported on how Chrysippus died. One states that he became dizzy after drinking undiluted wine and died shortly after. The other account is more strange, stating he was watching a donkey trying to eat figs and stated, "Now give the donkey a drink of pure wine to wash down the figs." It is reported he died not long after a fit of laughter. I can only imagine what would have happened to him if Shrek was available at the time. Tycho Brahe. This Danish nobleman was well known for his accurate and complete astronomical and planetary observations. Tycho was quite a unique individual, where odd things seemed to happen to him throughout his life. Due to a quarrel with his third cousin over a mathematical formula, the two agreed to solve the issue over a duel. The battle took place at night, and during it Tycho lost the bridge of his nose. Since that point, he wore a false nose reported to have been made of many different metals, including silver and gold. When his body was exhumed, it was hypothesized it was made of copper or brass. As for his death, he contracted a bladder or kidney ailment during a banquet in Prague. Tycho refused to leave his table to relieve himself during the banquet, due to his belief that it would be a breach of etiquette. Once he finally returned home, he was unable to urinate, and he died 11 days later, on October 24, 1601. Allegations of Tycho being murdered with mercury poisoning has been brought up, but were later debunked in 2010 when his body was exhumed and his hair was tested. As it stands, it is said that he died due to his bladder bursting. Gareth Jones. Gareth was a famous British actor, and his death seemed to be predetermined due to the character he was portraying. On November 30th, 1958, the Armchair Theatre was doing the play called Underground on live television. Between two of Gareth's scenes, he suffered a massive heart attack and died. The director and the rest of the cast were forced to improvise the play in order to finish it. What truly was odd was the fact that the character Gareth was playing was to have had a heart attack in the play. Robert Williams and Kenji Urata. Here is a bit of an odd one that almost makes one wonder if Skynet from the Terminator movies may be active. Robert was a worker in the Ford Motor Corporation's plant. His life was cut short on January 25, 1979, when a 1-ton robot arm came down and hit him in the head. Robert is known as the first human known to be killed by a robot. Oddly enough, just 2 years later, on July 4, 1981, Kenji Urata would become the second human killed. Kenji was a Japanese engineer working for the Kawasaki Heavy Industries plant, where he was tasked with fixing a broken robot. After he failed to turn it off completely, the robot pushed him into a grinding machine with its arm, killing him instantly. David Grundman. This story should make you look at your household plants a little differently. In Lake Pleasant, Arizona in 1982, David Grundman decided to take his shotgun out into the desert and fire some rounds at a cactus. It is reported that this activity is called cactus plugging and is deemed illegal since it is seen as vandalism. After shooting the cactus, David poked at the plant, trying to make it fall down, but instead one of the arms weighing about 500 pounds fell on him. The trunk also fell on his body, but most report that the arm weighed enough to cause his death. I guess cacti aren't just hunting zombies anymore. Humberto Hernandez. The common phrase many people state when talking about sudden death is that I could be hit by a meteor just walking out of the door. While the story doesn't involve something from space, it does include something flying. Around June 23, 2007, a man by the name of Humberto Hernandez was walking on the sidewalk with his wife to a nearby restaurant. Suddenly, a 200-pound fire hydrant dislodged from the ground and hit Humberto in the back of the head, killing him. The hydrant then had enough velocity to plow through a fence and land 20 feet away. What started all of this was the driver of an SUV claimed to have suffered a blown tire and struck the hydrant behind them. The wife was unharmed, but the police officer reporting on the case says he had never seen anything like this before. João Maria de Souza. On July 13, 2013, in Brazil, João was sleeping in bed with his wife at his home when his life was ended by an unlikely intruder. Instead of a murderous human coming into their house, a 3,000-pound cow came crashing through their roof. It is reported that João suffered a broken leg, but died later in the hospital due to internal bleeding. You may be asking, how did a cow make it onto the couple's roof? Apparently the house was built adjacent to a hill, and the cow had escaped a nearby farm and just walked from the hill onto the roof. It is said that the cow and the wife escaped injury, but the owner of the cow had charges pressed against him. Peng Fan. Some people have made their living off of eating strange dishes, but in some cases the food bites back. On August 23, 2014, a chef by the name of Peng Fan was in the process of preparing a meal of snake soup when it all went wrong. In Guangdong Province, southern China, the soup is known as a delicacy, and the main ingredient is the very poisonous Indo-Chinese spitting cobra. This snake produces a neurotoxin that can eat away flesh. While preparing the soup, Peng cut off the snake's head and started to chop up the body. 20 minutes later, he reached over to throw the head into the garbage, but instead was bitten by the still living head. Peng Fan died shortly after being injected with the venom. Experts report that reptiles can live for up to an hour after losing a body part or their entire body. As an aside, it is stated that while the head could be considered dead, it still could have had the impulses to strike when touched. With that, be safe, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.